Good morning and welcome to the Time Clock Plus Manager Training Seminar. Hopefully we'll be able to get through this somewhat quickly. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so that you are able to see what exactly we are working on today. So this is the Manager portal, and you can see here that I've entered my user ID, which is going to be your first initial and your last name, and then you're going to enter your password. You will receive an email from me or someone here in the Minnesota Conference office in order to provide you with that information, along with the link for this. So if you have not received that yet, please let us know. So once you enter that data, you're going to go ahead and select Log On. Now, this is the dashboard for the local supervisors or managers so that you're able to see your employees and view their missed punches, make corrections, and enter time for them. You can see that they have some training tutorials that you're able to use to help you understand how to use the system. I'm going to go ahead and close those for now, just so that we can move forward here. So when you first log into the system, your dashboard is going to look like this. This is the automatic setup, and this section right here shows you the required approvals. You must do these approvals in order for us to run payroll. So this is something that you'll have to do every month prior to the payroll being run. And as a reminder, the pay periods end on Saturday. So after that Saturday, you're going to want to log in here and enter the information so we can download the data and run payroll for the employees. Now, the other section you want to look at is this missed punches section. These missed punches are things that you must correct before we can run payroll. So there's a couple of ways you can get to this information. Jumping to group hours allows you to review all of your employees at the same time. So I'm going to click on update here, and this allows you to see the employees that you are responsible for under this group hours segment. Instead of going through this way, I'm going to actually go back to my dashboard, and in order to access the other things, if you're on another screen, you just click this button right here. We're actually going to go to employee and employee profiles. Now, this is really important because it shows you what employees you have access to. This will be based on a filter that is based on location for where you and your employees are located. The only thing that you can do for your employees is to change their PIN. This is very important because we have a lot of people who use Time Clock Plus. So if an employee forgets what their PIN is, you are able to set their new PIN yourself. So you'd be able to put that in here. We're going to put in 1844 for Debbie Hernandez. And you can also enter an email address. In fact, we don't need that, so we're going to update this. Now that new PIN has been updated, so you are able to communicate directly to your employee and let them know, hey, your new PIN is set. Here's your new PIN. And then you'll be able to move forward. Okay, once you have updated the PIN, what you're going to do is on this far right-hand side of the screen over here, you're actually going to select the Save button. I'm not going to do it because I showed you earlier on accident what happens if you click out of the screen before saving. It actually gives you this nice little pop-up that says, there are unsaved changes here. How do you want to continue? You can cancel, you can discard changes, or you can save. So we're going to go ahead and save that so that Debbie Hernandez has a new PIN. Now, as you can see here, John Doe, Muffin Man, and Debbie Hernandez all have a way here for you to edit their PIN. All right, so now we're going to go to hours. All right, so when you go to individual hours, this is a place for you to look at your employees' information and edit their time on an individual basis. So we're going to take a look at Debbie Hernandez here. You can see that she is in the system as a receptionist. So you can see here, she had a timesheet entry. That means that someone entered time for her for 8 hours. If you double click on that, you're able to open that segment and edit that. So let's say she actually did that on July 3rd, and it wasn't 8 hours, it was 8.5 hours. And then you're going to add a note and say, Debbie's time was entered incorrectly. Email from Debbie, and then date of the email, 7/22/2023. So that's one way you can edit. Now on this segment, you can see that they actually clocked in and out themselves. But in the state of Minnesota, an employee cannot work more than 8 hours without taking a lunch break. So we're just going to make the assumption here that this employee did make a lunch break. So you're going to select the employee. You can do that by checking on the checkbox or anywhere on the line. And we're going to go to manage and we're going to add break. And this is where you can enter their lunch break in. So let's say she took her lunch at 12:30 and it was a 30-minute lunch break. And you're going to say per email from Debbie Hernandez, 7/22/23. All right. So now what it does is it automatically splits that segment, and you can see that she worked 3 hours and 35 minutes before lunch and 5 hours after lunch for a total of 8.5 hours, basically. So that's really nice. Now, this last one here is a missed punch, and the missed punch is going to show up as blue until you correct it, and it turns green when it is corrected. So again, you can either double click on the segment or you can manage to edit. So we're going to edit that, and we're going to put in time out here on this screen that they have the same time in and time out because they forgot to punch out. So you're just going to make a correction. She clocked in at 12:13, so we're going to say she left at 3 o'clock, and you're going to say via email from Debbie Hernandez, 7/22/23. And now we're going to save that. And what you see here is it went from light blue to green. Okay, now we're going to correct it for Muffin Man as well. So looking over his time here, he has very short time segments. That makes it super easy. We can see here that he actually was able to correct his own out punch when he clocked back in the next time. So that's good. So what happens when an employee clocks in the morning and then clocks in again at lunch is it'll trigger them to say, oh, you forgot to punch out before lunch. What time did you leave? And then they can make the correction themselves. So that's a really good thing for you to be aware of. In this case, when the employee had made the correction themselves, it'll actually show up as bright blue until you approve of that missed punch. Once you approve of it, then it'll turn green. And the way to do that is you're going to go to exceptions and you're going to click on the approve button for missed out punch and you're going to click apply. Now, obviously, it's not letting me do it because it was previously applied. So that's how that works. Now we're going to go in and correct this missed punch. So again, we're going to go to manage and edit. And I'm going to say this person left at 4:12 p.m. And we're going to say that was via email from Muffin Man on 7/22/23. All right, so now you can see that it has corrected the punch. So really quick, I just want to go through this line right here. These are each considered a segment of time. This checkbox is for the employee approval. All employees are supposed to approve of their time at the end of each pay period. This next segment is manager approval. So that says, hey, as the supervisor, I've looked this over. The last column is other approval. We use that in the office to designate, oh, look, they didn't approve it. We're going to do other approval along with employee and manager approval. The next thing is the section of notes. This allows you to see any notes that were entered. So you can see here when I click on that, I am in as Muffin Man. So I entered the correction today at 10:19 and that I received an email from Muffin Man on 7/22. Then this tells you whether or not the time was edited. In this case, you can see it was edited. This tells you if there is a segment and if it's linked to something. So in this case, this is a whole segment, there's no breaks, but you can see on this one, this is all one bracket that shows that it was a full day of work with a break in the middle. This tells you how long their break was. So in this case, he took 46 minutes. That was an unpaid lunch. This gives you their time in, time out, hours for that segment, hours for that shift if you enter shifts, and then a weekly total for each segment. It also gives you a job code. Now, if you have an employee who's working more than one job code, this field right here will allow you to do a drop down and select the appropriate job code. Most of our local employees are not going to have multiple job codes, but if they do, you may not be eligible to edit both of them. If you are, you'll want to make sure that they've selected the proper job code for when they're working specific hours. All right, so now I'm going to go back into group hours because we want to look at all of the things that we have done so far. So we have notes on Debbie's time. We've made our corrections on Debbie's time. We made our correction on Muffin Man's time, but we haven't corrected John Doe's time yet. So we're going to go in and do that really quick. So what I'm going to do is select this segment and I'm going to go to manage and edit. Now, the group hours is really nice because it allows you to see everything from all the employees that report to you. So we're going to go in and correct his out time. He was in at 8:12, and let's say he worked until 9:53 a.m. And we're going to say text message from John Doe, 7:24:23. So now you can see the note is on there. The missed punch has turned green and you're ready to go. So now what we want to do is go to resolve period. And if you had some missed in punches or missed out punches that had not been approved, what you would see is a lot of blue here. Now the times would be accurate if the employee had self-managed. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to go to resolve period and we would select missed in or missed out and we would approve those. As you can see, they're already approved, so you don't need to do that. Then what you're going to do is you have two ways of doing this. You can either select the employee checkbox, and what it'll do is it'll check all of them on this page, or you can do it through resolve period. And you're going to do manager approval, and it'll do the same thing, but you only have to click in one place. And now your approval has been applied. So we're going to update. Everything is resolved, and now you are done with your responsibility for payroll. The last thing I wanted to show you is period export in case you needed something to look at your employees' time. This is a reporting tool that's available to you. I'm not going to go through a full training on this because most people don't use it, but if you do need it, this is helpful for local church treasurers. Finally, there are a few other tools in here that you can look at. Employee status tells you about all of your employees, where they are and what they're doing. Right now, Debbie, Muffin Man, and John Doe are all clocked out, but if they're clocked in, you can see under what job code, what time, where they are, all of this stuff. Under requests, this is something that I'm going to remove. And then in other tools, if you received time cards from your employees and they said, I worked 2.5 hours, you can actually enter let's say 2.7 hours. You can actually click change to minutes and it'll tell you how many minutes that is. So you don't have to do that calculation manually. So that is the manager system. I'm sure there's a lot of other features in here that you can explore. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us here at the conference office, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.